have 30 minutes to condense 27 years of information for you about prospecting. And I'm absolutely delighted to see and hear some of the wonderful testimonials that were on the stage here today. Julie, where's Julie Corey? An incredible story, darling. And I know that certainly, if it wasn't for prospecting and the efforts of Ian and Lisa to be able to share the opportunity with you, you and all the wonderful people in your team wouldn't be here today. This room is filled with you today because people took the time, effort, and energy to share what they love and what they're passionate about with you. So I'm going to quickly endeavor to share some info with you. So first and foremost, what is prospecting? Well, in the traditional sense of prospecting, it's mining for a precious metal or a precious stone. Of course, in network marketing, it has a whole different concept. Networking for us, or prospecting for us means it's acquiring precious names and putting them through the process. It's a refining process where ultimately our ultimate goal is that we will have a beautiful, beautiful forever business owner will come out through the sieve at the other side. In my experience of network marketing over the years, I will say that there are two types of prospectors. This one resembles probably what I was in the beginning, and perhaps many of us in the beginning. Any of you familiar with this guy? Yeah, Sesame Street, Cookie Monster, where he frantically endeavored to get hold of some cookies. Cookies, cookies. And sometimes we're a little bit like that in the business, aren't we? We see all the prospects out there and we want to get them into our business. We're so desperate that we have crumbs and mess and maybe a little bit of chaos around us. So, we need to adopt a different attitude to how we're going to build our business. And we need to become a pro. We need to become a professional in our marketing and recruitment methods. The professional, as you can see there, the miner, he is systematic, he is diligent, he is meticulous in his process, and he will have a system for refining and finding the gold that he's looking for, or in fact, the diamonds or whatever they might be milling and mining for. So I thought about how can I best share information in such a short period of time for you, and not just looking at my own experience, but predominantly looking at what the professionals teach and share with us. So I've chosen first and foremost Eric Worre. I don't know if any of you are familiar with his material. There are some books outside and his CDs Go Pro, and I would certainly encourage and endorse you all to utilize his material. What does he teach us about prospecting? He says, first and foremost, create an active candidate list. So we need to expand and create a list, and we're going to cover a little bit about that. Constantly expand your list. He says to add at least 2 names every day to your prospect list. Raise your awareness. Somebody spoke about that, mentioned that. I think it was one of the last girls receiving her recognition about network marketing, about keeping your eyes open. And that's so true. Wherever we go in our day-to-day walks of life, that we need to keep our ears open and our eyes open to those who may well be receptive to hearing about our wonderful business opportunity. Don't ever prejudge. This is something I learned from a very, very early stage of the business, and to this day, I'm so grateful that I didn't do that. I'll just give you one example. There are many, many examples, and I have a beautiful downline which will demonstrate that. But one in particular was a pig farmer in Cork. He joined the business back in 1991. And I have to be honest, he's no longer in the business, so I can say this because probably he's not going to be here. But anybody that knew him knew his profession before he actually entered the room. You could get the waft, and you kind of knew what this guy was involved in. And he joined the team. But he was an amazing networker. And he went on and sponsored a girl in Dublin called Agnes, who sponsored the amazing Paddy and Pauline Keegan. You know, what if I had prejudged this guy? So I learned at an early stage of my business, never ever prejudge anybody. We don't know what's going on in the minds, the hearts, the souls, the lives of those that are around about us. We never judge whether they have got what appears to be a wealth of money, because maybe they're lowly in spirit and they're not happy with their lifestyle. Or, you know, maybe somebody that looks like they don't have a great deal of substance. Maybe you feel that they are not educated enough, or they don't have enough money. You know, there's so many different facets that we might stop a moment to consider. And in fact, we mustn't do that at all. We have to just eliminate all prejudging. And expand your horizons. I've learned lots of lessons about that. One in particular, I was actually reminded of this morning coming in the door. In terms of expanding your horizons, it means get out of the house. Get ourselves active and involved in our community. Maybe volunteer for something. Join a new club. Join a new group. Just a few weeks ago, I joined a new Zumba class, and is the lovely Cuero here? There's a beautiful, she's down there, a beautiful Zumba instructor at the room. I was coming up the elevator, and I saw my Zumba instructor, and I went, "What are you doing here?" And Claire Hughes says, "She's already sponsored in." I specifically joined the Zumba group a few weeks ago with express interest of that's another prospect for my business. So you beat me to it, Claire Hughes. But you know, it's important to get ourselves out and about and in our communities. Join a new group. For many of you know my story, I was able, thankfully, because of the residual income, able to take 12 years out from working this business and be able to enjoy that. When I came back in 2012 to go for the chairman's bonus incentive, I'd lost a lot of my contacts, and I had to start all over again, really. And so one of the first things I did was to join a local fitness group, just to expand my own contact, because once the children grow up, our networks and so on change. So that's some tips there given by Eric. I would suggest that you avail of his trainings. There are many, many YouTube videos that you can get that Eric has to offer. Okay, so that's Eric. Okay, number 2 is the amazing Andy Waring. Have any of you come across his material before or have utilized it? You'll find, again, much material on Forever Knowledge if you search for his material down through the videos and also on YouTube. Andy talks a lot about the psychology. He really looks into the traits and characteristics of people and how we might learn to read and recognize the kind of traits and characteristics that they have, so that when we're presenting the business opportunity to them, that we then can relate it back to the things that are perhaps important to them, or the things as in terms of their nature, the things that might appeal to them. Maybe somebody's an extrovert, maybe somebody's an introvert. He will target his presentations towards their character and their traits. So much to learn from Andy. He talks a lot about what's in it for the prospect. You know, sometimes when we're presenting the opportunity, it's very easy to go on and say, I did. We have to stop it, and we have to just bring it back to, it's all about the prospect. It's all about what we can do for them, and we have to make them the number one priority in our presentations. We need to be able to get that information in front of them and allow them the opportunity to consider the information about Forever. We have to help them see the benefits that Forever have to offer. We have so many, don't we? We are so blessed. But our job is to let them see what the benefits are for them. Another approach that he has is to approach, or a tip that he has is to approach without fear. One of the reasons oftentimes we're hesitant to share the opportunity with other people is our own fear, our own reservations. It's our thoughts of what are they going to think of me if I present this? Or we're afraid of rejection and the no's. And again, somebody else mentioned that today. Forget about the no's. Don't worry about them. But we have to overcome that fear. And so what he does to help eliminate that is he has a unique approach. And rather than saying, hi, you look like an amazing person, I'd love to have you in my business, his approach is, my company has given me the responsibility of finding 5 key people. Would you happen to know, or the kind of people that I'm looking for are, and he will, when he relates back the kind of people we're looking for are, he will relate something that he sees in them. A mum with children. We're looking for entrepreneurs. We're looking for people in the sports and fitness industry. But he will relate something back, to them so that they can equate with that. And after that, after saying, the kind of people that we're looking for are, he'll say, can you think of someone that might fit that description? So automatically then, the person who's hearing this is not going to feel under immediate pressure to say, or to feel uncomfortable. And in fact, for him, himself, or us presenting that, to feel uncomfortable, we don't need to feel that way because we've taken that pressure off. So that's one approach that he uses. Each of the different trainers that you'll come across, and in fact, as you go through some of the trainings within Forever Knowledge, you'll find that each Forever business owner will develop their own style. They will develop a way of presenting the opportunity or prospecting that is comfortable for them. And this is something, again, that was spoken about earlier. It's important to find a way that you are particularly comfortable with. You might adapt a little bit of everybody's prospecting tips and ideas, but you will mold it all together to a formula that works for you. And it's only through a little bit of time, effort, and practice. It's not going to happen for you. You're not going to discover your way of doing something by reading the textbooks and videos and not putting everything you've learned into action. So we have to actually get up off our bottoms and make it happen. But yeah, you'll find your own niche, your own way of presenting. But these are some of the tips that we have here. And the third expert that I wanted to share some info with you is the amazing Alan Peace. I was going to do, just run through a one-to-one for you quickly in his formula with somebody, but I know in the essence of time we're running a little over, so I'm going to forego on that. But Alan Peace is an Australian network marketer, a sales professional. And what I love about Alan is he really talks about making the emotional connection with our prospects, the importance of helping them realize their why and to really feel it emotionally. It's not until we feel that emotional connection with what the business can give to us that we'll really find the drive to go on and do it and the desire to join forever. And so I'm just going to run through quickly some of the pointers that he shares. He also covers using body language. One of the tips that I found when doing a one-to-one presentation, I'm sure you'll all find your own style, but one I like to use is, as I'm right-handed, I like to sit on the left side of my prospect. Because then when you're presenting, shall I turn around? When you're presenting, you're able to write with your right hand and put the material in front of them. Okay? But it also, if you sit at a right angle, it means that we're then able to engage in eye contact with them. Rather than sitting across the table or side by side, we really need to be able to sit in a position that enables us to connect physically with each other. Because eye contact is the window to the soul. And if you honestly believe in the presentation and what you love and what you're passionate about, when you're sitting in close contact with your prospect and you're able to engage in that way, they will feel that through the way that you're presenting with them. So does that make sense? So body contact is really important. You can flirt a little bit too, especially if it's a man. You can, or a woman if you're that way inclined, whatever. But yes, you can have a little bit of, feel free to be a little bit flirty. What do you call him? Andy Waring often says, romance the prospect. So not physically, of course, but you get the picture. And we have to make our prospect feel comfortable. So just relax and be yourself. If you're tense and you're anxious, then your prospect will also feel that way. So endeavour to make them feel comfortable. And again, it's reiterated here through Alan, is to help them see what's possible. Yeah, and ensure that they see that. So I'll run through quickly some of the key pointers that Alan shares. I use this all the time in my presentation. So he has can I have a show of hands? How many of you use Alan P's questions or the answers as part of your one-to-one presentation? Right, there's quite a few that do, but equally there's quite a few that don't. And I would encourage and admonish you all to get hold of the Alan P's questions or the answers, either book or CD. It's on sale out there. Basically what it does is initially you have inside there a little card. You can put the key points on the back of your business card so that whenever you're out and about, it gives you an immediate opportunity to be able to put these key questions in front of your potential prospect. The points that they're asked to consider are financial freedom, retirement, personal development, extra income, having your own business, helping other people, meeting new people, leaving a legacy, and having more spare time. So putting that card in front of them and asking them, what's your number one priority? Get them to really think about the things that are important to them. And from there, we're going to ask them some specific questions. Those questions are, why that one? Get them and as we're doing this now, have a think about that. What is the number one priority that you have chosen for yourselves? Why that one? Why is that important to you? What are the consequences of not achieving that? Does that worry you? And why? Now, when you're sharing those questions on a one-to-one basis with somebody sitting eyeball to eyeball, and you take your time and you listen to their responses, it connects the two of you, but it also has opened them up emotionally. And when they're opened up emotionally, they are then receptive to hearing and accepting the solution to what their challenge may be. So when you then share those questions with them, you're able to say, if I were able to show you now how you can have time at home with the children, how you can now have that holiday to Disney with the children, or whatever it might be, but you can then relate it back. And then you're able to ask them, can you quantify in a monetary term how much you would need on a monthly basis in order to achieve that? And once they've given you the monetary term or the monetary amount that they need per month, you are then able to show them, of course, the marketing plan and the elements in the marketing plan that specifically relate to them. A good tip that I heard years ago was actually, I think she's here today, Bernie Allen, tip is don't show them the huge big money right away when they only want the 50 to 100 pounds. Okay, sometimes you can scare people away. I would use both in the presentation, but what I will say is, look, I appreciate this is way beyond what you're looking for today, but I just want to show you the potential of what's there in the future. So utilize, that element of the business to what feels comfortable for you, but it is important to show them what's in it for them. So those are the three main areas I wanted to cover there. Alan Peace, definitely get hold of his material. So what do the pros do? Well, first and foremost, we build and expand a database of contacts. We need to profile our contacts. In the Steps to Manage Your booklet, you'll find a profile sheet. Every single contact, every single name that you have needs to be profiled and put into a folder. You can use a spreadsheet if you want to, but we always recommend it's much better to have a folder with 1 to 31, the dates of the month and each month in there, and pop into the folder when you either have contacted or when you're next due to contact those prospects. Continuously expand that database. As I've said, Eric Worre suggests 2 new names per day, adding to that list. And then connecting with them. So obviously there's different methods and means in which we can connect with our prospect. Many people today will use social media. There is, of course, the old traditional telephone. And for many of you that are fearful of using the telephone, we're going to cover a little bit about that. Ultimately, once we've connected, we've given them the information that we need about the company, we've been able to derive what's important to them, we give them the information, we're then able to give them sufficient for them to be able to make a well-informed decision, and hopefully, at the end of that, out pop a little forever baby for you to nurture and treasure and nourish through the business plan. It's equally important to note that if the little baby doesn't quite want to pop out just yet, that there are other options, because of course not everybody is ready for the business now. There is a young lady here today. Was she called Natalie or Natasha? I met her earlier outside. Apologies for forgetting your name. But this young lady that's here today was sponsored by Claire Spencer in the UK. This young lady had a dog grooming business. She had contacted Claire 2 years ago by seeing a social media post that Claire had posted. And Claire got back in touch with this girl, and then she decided, no, I'm not going to do anything with it. But she watched and she followed Claire. And in the meantime, her dog grooming business she had some difficulties, and so she ended up 2 years later contacting Claire after she'd watched her and watched her see her achieve her chairman's bonus checks, etc., contacted her and said, I'm ready now. So, the time isn't always right for people right now, but don't discount them. Put them into the little black book and say, this is the no for now book, and keep in touch, maintain that contact. But ultimately, of course, a no for now can also still be a positive, because they're still going to want to use our wonderful products, aren't they? So we can still offer them the opportunity to be a product user. They can come in the back door, of course, through that and end up being a novice customer, and before you know it, they're recommending our wonderful products to people, and suddenly they're a fully fledged FBO. So there are many ways in which to expand our distributor network. Okay, where am I? Expanding the database. There are two types of people, obviously, that we are going to have in our database: those that we know and those that we don't know, the ones that are strangers to us. So we're going to cover a little bit about those that we know. Where am I? Okay, how are we going to do that? First and foremost, we've got some different methods that we can use to help us expand those lists, some little tips. STEAM is one: sales, teachers, enthusiastic people, people with a good attitude, and people with money, or people that have a love of money, not necessarily that they have it. Okay, so utilizing that. Frogs. We're not looking for frogs, but the word frog gives us an indication and a reminder of, again, who we might be looking for. These can be friends. Who do we know that's a relative in the same organization, the same group, or have something similar in common with us? And who do we know? Let's have a think about that. If you go to networkmarketingpro.com memory jogger, you will be able to download an absolutely massive memory jogger list, which will go through a whole load of different qualifications and walks of life that will just make you kind of rethink who you know and who you come across. Also, of course, our SEPSTA Manager booklet also has a memory jogger in there, so that's useful. Okay, what we're going to do now is, we can just have a whoop, me, if somebody can do a me, if this is you, okay? If you have come into the business through a referral, any whoops? Launches? Yeah, we've got a few. What about trade shows and exhibitions? Okay. Carding? Yeah. Do any of you know what carding is? No, okay. For many people, carding is where we go out and we share our business card. For me, carding is going out and collecting as many business cards as possible. Wherever I go, whether I'm out shopping, whether I'm going to the garage, every single place I go to, I will collect somebody else's business cards. The guilty part about this is I've got a box about that high and deep, full of business cards, but they're potential prospects for the business. So it's a tip for you. Collect rather than just distribute your own. When we distribute our own information, we're beholden to other people to come back and be in touch with us. We need to put ourselves in a position where we are in control of what happens with our business. So collect rather than distribute. Contact marketing. Anybody came in through contact marketing? There's not many whoops today. Yellow pages. Anybody use yellow pages? When I came back, this is one of the areas I started with. We all kind of forget about the yellow pages, and I thought, you know what, there's lots of business people in there. I wonder how many business people are open-minded to another way of adding some extra income, some extra turnover onto their current turnover. So pulled out the yellow pages and contacted beauticians, sports and fitness centers, set up appointments to go and meet with them. Okay? So even if they don't join your business as an FBO, again, it's an opportunity to get the product in front of them and to expand your customer base. Leaflet drops. There is a wonderful in fact, there's two wonderful young ladies in the audience here today. Margaret Brady, I saw you here today. Can you stand up? Where's Margaret? The lovely Margaret Brady put out a leaflet in a garage, was it Newry? And the leaflet was found by a husband who thought, oh, my wife might be interested in that. Where's the lovely Jill Burns? Jill Burns, stand up. Jill Burns joined the business because your husband brought home a leaflet. Can you get your team to stand up with you today? Where's Jill Burns' team? Anybody in Jill Burns' downline? Whee! Okay? That's the simple. Well done, Margaret Brady. If you hadn't put out the leaflet, these people today would not be enjoying the wonderful benefits of the Forever Marketing Plan. So well done to you for doing that. Yeah, the power of using leaflets, brochures, etc. Okay, what else do we have? Media advertising. Okay, not many people would use this source today, but it is one available to us. A Dear Neighbour letter. How many of you put out Dear Neighbour letters? There's a few of you use that. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's a letter giving an overview of who you are. You're selling your brand. Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm a mum of two gorgeous girls. I live in your community. I'm a Forever business owner. Forever Living Products is, and a little bit of a blurb about Forever Living. You can attach to that letter a couple of our product samples, maybe a little tea bag at the top, and distribute them to your local communities, just to let people know who you are, because I live in a small village, but I know there's still people in the village who probably don't really know what I do. Shame on me. So I need to get back out with my own Dear Neighbour letters. But you know, there's a lesson there. Within our own communities, our own towns, there are many, many people who still not have yet heard of Forever and what the opportunity that you have. And as I mentioned earlier, joining a new group or club. So those are some of the ways in which we can expand our contact list. Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, Snapchat. I have to put hands up to these, with the exception of Facebook. I'm not terribly au fait with using some of these models, but some of you younger ones, I'm sure you are. And it's another method and tool that we can use to connect and engage with people. Okay. So what are, when we're sharing and prospecting, what are some of the things that we can say? First and foremost, we have to pay them a compliment. If you're out and about and you're shopping and you see somebody in front of the queue and think, oh, I would love to speak to this person, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. A good tip is to pay them a compliment. I love your shoes. Oh my gosh, I love your dress. Where did you get that? And if it's a guy, I love your tie. I'm trying not to drool too much into the blue eyes. Ask questions. What do you do? What is it that you do? Phil Jones is another great trainer. He gives a mindful of information about using magic words, the things that we can say to help us build our business. And he will ask us to ask, what do you do? I can see that my time is up, so am I going to get my wrist slap if I go a little bit over? I'll go as quickly as I can. Okay. What do you do? How's that going for you? That's interesting. Tell me more. And you know, when we ask people, how's that going for you, sometimes people will want to boast and brag about how life's going. If not, they'll tell you all the doom and gloom of what's going on in their lives. All the doom and gloom. Perfect opportunity. That's interesting. I might actually have a solution for that. It's an open door for you to be able to engage with them. So posing those questions is a good way to get in front of them. I'm quickly going to wrap up. There's so many points I wanted to share with you, but I'm going to go through. The rules for social media. Like other people's posts as often as possible. It will draw attention back to you. Like their posts and comments. Get them engaging with you. What I will say with regards to the use of social media, Derek Kane mentioned this, one of our VIP distributors. Eric Worre is currently running a social media series of webinars that you can listen in on, and it's all about building a compliant and professional and responsible social media business. This is something that we need to ensure that we do, and just not post continuously about our products, so we can utilize those. Okay, making the call. Very quickly, I'm going to wrap this up. Any of you seen Despicable Me? Yes. Gru was absolutely in love with, who was he in love with? I've forgotten her name. Anyway, regardless, he was besotted with her, and he wanted to connect with her before she disappeared, and he wanted to make contact. And so he picked up the phone, and very nervously, he endeavored to ring her. And he just couldn't get the words out, and he practiced, and he practiced, and practiced, and he ended up blasting the phone and just burning it into smithereens. Okay. Sometimes when we have to connect with people and we've got the thought of using the phone, it just fills us with dread. So there's some tips that we can use to utilize the phone effectively. Again, in our Steps to Manage Your booklet, there's a whole series of scripts that we can use to be able to connect with them. And again in online and on YouTube videos. My cards are all jumbled up, but I'm going to forget them today because I'm just going to carry on. Forget that. Go quickly. Okay, so in terms of making the script, learn your script. Have it prepared out in front of you so you know what you say. Stand up. Don't sit down. When you're on the phone and if you're sitting, sometimes you can feel a little bit more uncomfortable. So if you stand, it gives you that little air of confidence. And you remember, you are the CEO of your business. Be proud of what it is that you present and share with them. Do your homework about them. If you've got prospects, get as much information as you can about them. Be genuine and be you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Let people see the real you. Always be courteous, be friendly. And remember, as I said, that you're doing them a favor. I've posted here 2 conversations. I'm not going to go through it because we are out of time. But what I will say is online, you will find a whole host of conversation scripts that you can utilize. This is just one. I will share it quickly then. Hi, it's Julia here. How are you? How are the kids? You never guess. I have just come across a way that you can get that holiday to Disney. How do you fancy a cup of tea and a catch-up? And I'll share with you what it's all about. Okay? It's nothing complex, but there are different scripts that we can use to connect with other people. And of course, maybe you're connecting with an entrepreneur, maybe you're connecting with a sports person, but you become a little bit creative. Put your own words to your script as well, but always have it pre-prepared. And embrace it. You see here, I've got a lovely picture of the lovely Lisa Walsh embracing one of her team. The word embrace in itself means to have passion. And this is what we need to have when we go about and we engage with our prospects, is to do it with passion, with energy, with vibrancy. We have an incredible message to share. We can't keep it to ourselves. Passion won't go anywhere if it's all in here. We have to get it out and share it. And so my suggestion to each and every one of us today, and I include myself in that, is we go out and we 2 times our current effort with regards to profiling. Expand our networks daily. Share the opportunity with everybody that we come in contact with. Step out of our comfort zones, and let's double the FBOs in our next success day here in Belfast. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.